ChatGPT may go bankrupt soon. You heard that right. One of the pioneers of AI and the most talked about company this year so far is burning cash. OpenAI, the parent company of ChatGPT, spends roughly $700,000 every day. Now, this is around 5.8 crore rupees to run ChatGPT. The losses are only mounting as per various media reports. In May this year, OpenAI's losses doubled to $540 million ever since it started developing ChatGPT. Who's funding it? The money comes from Microsoft and other recent investors who are covering costs for the ChatGPT, the company, to function from their own pockets. Now, they could turn the tap off very soon if the company doesn't turn profitable. OpenAI projected an annual revenue of $200 million in 2023 and expected to reach $1 billion in 2024, but that hasn't happened so far. In fact, it may go bankrupt by the end of 2024. That, of course, is according to various media reports. We don't know how true they are, but let's quickly discuss ChatGPT, its fortune, and also what its future looks like at this point. Joining us is Nruthya Madappa, who is a partner at 314 Capital. Nruthya, thanks very much for taking time out. How true are these reports that ChatGPT may not sustain beyond 2024, or in fact, if it does continue to sustain, it will have to file for bankruptcy?
I actually have taken quite some time to try and find the sources of this, and it seems to emanate from one report from analysts where they estimate costs of ChatGPT running to $700,000 a day. But all sort of reports around it going bankrupt, etc., are, I think, massive exaggerations. For context, $700,000 a day amounts to about $250 million or so of burn in a year, and with $200 million in revenues across their licensing and subscriptions, etc., actually that burn looks much more reasonable when you look at it at a yearly basis. Above that, and as you mentioned in passing, that Microsoft actually and several others have come together to put over $10 billion in investment into this company, and for a good reason, right? It foundationally shifts the way we can think about leveraging AI into far more daily use cases within each of our businesses. So conversational AI itself with ChatGPT is a form of and a product out of its parent company, OpenAI, one of several products actually that they're building across their models, is foundationally important. And it is one of the biggest leaps forward that we have seen come out of the AI domain in decades. So that in itself, it just is foundational to human progress across this very key portion of technology. So overall, the numbers themselves, when they add up, ChatGPT, according to the 10 billion plus in investment, even at a 700K burn, actually can keep running with its costs offset for over 40 years, to put some context. Plus, with the revenue turning on, however badly they miss those estimates, we see massive demand for licensing of its models across multiple enterprises themselves, and of course, consumers themselves leveraging the subscription format and using ChatGPT in its form. So I think they are massively exaggerated as claims.
Okay. I want to come to revenues, but I also want to understand from you, as far as competition in the market is concerned, OpenAI is competing with Bard, it's competing with Meta's Llama 2, and one of the concerns, of course, being that it is paid, it is proprietary, it is restrictive in nature, where Llama is an open sourced LLM, the large language model that anybody can use to develop commercial products. Therefore, OpenAI has got better competitors, bigger competitors, which may be hurting its fortunes. How true is that?
That is very much true. And for instance, what essentially OpenAI forced was for Google and Meta and all of the other players investing within this space for the last couple of decades to show their hand, and potentially show their hand a little too early. They had the most well-developed programs. They had been, open with what they were developing as products from the get-go. We've only seen Facebook and Google release their products, but it isn't to say that they came out of nowhere overnight. These have all been under production and under development for the past couple of decades. Beginning with Google's, for instance, a giant acquisition of DeepMind several years ago that have led to their sort of heft with Bard and several other models that they will be putting out. this competition does play a big role. How long any of the resources put out by any of the larger tech companies will remain open source remains to be seen, because as we all know, even OpenAI and ChatGPT itself was open source for a significantly long period of time until ChatGPT 3 and GPT-4 were released, which then went on a subscription sort of basis to offset some of the costs that go into each query. What we do know, however, is this competition is healthy, it is required, and it will foundationally speed up the process of development within this field.
Okay.
Customers and consumers and enterprises and how they're able to leverage AI will foundationally shift over the next few years. From everything that we know and the vantage point we sit on, there is not an enterprise in the world that hasn't put a SWAT team on figuring out how to leverage any of these models in order to be able to turbocharge their businesses alone, from the largest, including Adobe and what they're doing on the image processing side, all the way to very, very large enterprises across the world, and small enterprises are thinking through how to leverage this best. So overall,
Right.
I think it's fantastic for the industry. Will the competition
Nruthya,
ease in? I do believe the market will grow.
I do have one more question from you before I let you go, and this is, you briefly touched upon revenues that OpenAI is generating as a result of its subscription model. Is the revenue enough to sustain its business operations at this point in time? Because the competition, as you rightly mentioned, it's intense out there. You're competing with Meta, you're also competing with Baidu, you're competing with Google, and they have very, very deep pockets. So the $10 million pledged from Microsoft, is that going to be enough? How healthy are the books of OpenAI looking at this point?
So again, this is a developmental and research arm, right? If you would look at, say, Facebook's or Google's sort of AI efforts as a standalone entity, they would be showing similar numbers as to what OpenAI is. And OpenAI, given the kind of heft that another tech giant, Microsoft, has put behind it, we should probably consider them actually as the war of the three tech giants. And each of them are incredibly deep-pocketed to be able to support their specific AI investments and their AI efforts for a very, very long time. So I don't think, like, OpenAI by itself, standalone, what its revenues are, nobody knows fully. We don't know specifically how healthy their books are. Even the $200 million number that we were talking about was an estimate for 2023 that was publicly put out. We don't know how healthy that is. But actually, the bulk of its revenues actually do come from licenses, where different businesses leverage the AI models that OpenAI has built in order to build their own solutions on top of it. So it isn't just consumers like you and I paying subscription fees to ChatGPT to use it. It's actually large businesses who are plugging directly into the OpenAI models in order to build on top of that. So summary is that there are very deep pockets all around across all of the stakeholders around the table, including behind OpenAI. We see this being very, very long-term, very, very deep-pocketed investments that will happen over the next few years. And I truly believe that the market for something like this is large and wide enough that for three standalone or several more standalone solutions and platforms like this to exist. So from our perspective, extremely bullish about what we can see emerge from this and as layers on top of each of these foundational models.
Nruthya, I just have one question left to ask. It's about the fact that there is a global GPU, enterprise level GPU shortage,
Yes.
which seems to also be affecting OpenAI, and of course, of the fact that they are also affected by staffing issues. Apparently, all those good talent from OpenAI is being poached by other tech giants, and they're also losing a lot of employees due to attrition. Are these two factors affecting OpenAI at this stage?
Absolutely. I think they affect any large and fast growing company. We even have colleagues or employees from ChatGPT going on, or OpenAI themselves, going on to build competing entities that goes head to head with OpenAI. This is common parlance for any large business out there. But I would like to make, focus on that first portion of that point that you made about the global GPU shortage and overall the massive amount of funding also rushing towards the AI chip ecosystem. Currently, there are, again, 2-3 very large players who have a hold on this, and the amount of investments, similarly, that I would urge you all to look at going into just development of AI chips or into GPU or GPU processing power is just absolutely enormous. So what this is doing, this sort of forward leap in conversational models in LLMs, in these OpenAI models, have
Right.
led to an entire ecosystem almost coming forward on the very core hardware and platforms that these models run on. So yeah, we do see
Right.
and anticipate massive shortages.
All right, so a massive shortage there also on the back of the fact that you have Elon Musk hoping to develop a truth GPT, if that happens at all. But Nruthya, thanks very much. It was lovely to have a conversation with you here on News9. We hope to get you back. We don't know whether, I think word from Nruthya is that we don't know whether books of ChatGPT are any stronger than what they appear, but news of bankruptcy could be far-fetched at the moment. That, of course, is the last word coming in. But I think with that, we've run out of time. Thanks very much for watching.